There she is. There she is. Stay on there, girl. Stay on. Stay on. Stay on. Stay on. Stay on there. Come here. I'll let you go here in a little while. Oh, had a baby. That'll work.
Well, we are back out here at Lake Toho. Two-time tour champion, Buddy Gross. Man, you did it, dude.
I did. It was a little bit stressful, but we got it done.
Well, I mean, this was a pretty sweet event all around. Stop number 2 of the FLW Tour. You were consistent throughout. That's really kind of what gave you this bad boy that's sitting right here on your knee.
It is.
And we're about to head out, splash the boat. You're ready to go. Let's go see if we can catch a couple.
Sounds good to me.
Where you're sitting now, you know, normally we'd probably be talking about like Tennessee River Lake or something where you're staring at your Lowrances to find the stuff you're fishing, but these guys right here are kind of, I guess, ultimately what got you the win. They helped dial in this grass.
That's how I do it. I mean, I just spent a day and a half of nothing but idling to find these spots, and this is how I do it. This is what I look at all day long.
This shadow here is this clump, right?
Right.
It's tall enough that...
The longer the shadow, the taller the clump.
But you could still see fish sitting in that shadow.
Exactly, yes.
Behind it.
Like this is a hydrilla edge, and I'd mark it as edge, and then I found outside of that edge in the open sandy spots would be some pepper grass clumps, so I just marked it with pepper. So those are isolated pepper grass clumps along with all the hydrilla in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. And you said that like the pink in here, or the purple.
It's the pink. Anywhere there's pink was fish I caught. Like that was a 9-pounder I caught. I caught several here. This is my good spot, and I put several on it because in practice I caught like 3 or 4.
And the cool thing to me is that you were using structure scan to find these grass clumps in pre-practice. So when you came back, all you had to do was worry about fishing. You knew where each one of these things were, and you didn't have to kill time idling.
Right.
All right, buddy. We ran down here, bottom end of Toho. Right over your shoulder is the juice, man. That's where I think you said 14 of your 15 fish came from this week?
That's exactly right.
Or 14 to 15?
19 of 20.
19 to 20, 14 to 50 going into the third day, sorry. Yeah. But either way, that's a pile of fish. We're gonna ease on up to it, see if anyone's home still. These are also our weapons, right? Swim jig, swim bait.
One of us is gonna catch them.
We're gonna lob it in and see if we can't
It's gonna be
find...
cool to see 2 baits going in at once, because I've been having to do one at a time.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't capitalize a little better.
Yeah, we might catch 2 at a time. That might be interesting.
I mean, and this spot is like real specific too. It's not like we're fan casting all this good looking stuff that's out around here. It's just like one deal. They live in something the size of like the front deck of a boat.
That's exactly right. So, I mean, it's not gonna be like we can miss the spot. When we get in it, they're gonna bite if they're there.
Oh man, let's get to it.
You gotta make a pretty good cast though, so if I have to, you're
okay, I feathered it a little bit.
Okay.
I feathered it a little bit.
But you're bite on top of where they're gonna bite.
Oh my God. Dude, you were talking earlier this week about how the bites were so like vicious. I think you had your fish try to jump out or something. Oh, get him. About like that, I'd say. There you go.
Gotta get the weights going.
Yep, saltwater style.
This is what you could have had. This is a big one too. That's what's gonna be bad. It's gonna be one of the biggest ones I've caught here.
Oh, I fanned it right.
Look at there.
Oh, big.
That was 6-pounder. Like I said, I started first day though in on a bedding fish just right here behind us, and it was a giant. First cast, I stuck her, lost her, stayed in there for 45 minutes trying to see if I could see her. It was just so early. I just could not stand for somebody else to pick that fish off, so I wanted to go to it first. And then my whole intentions was to come out here, really to start on the backside, and I did start on the backside that morning. Got a few bites, just nothing really good. As soon as I came through, I just started whacking on them, and it was where I wanted to start from then on.
baits this week were pretty straightforward.
This is the Scottsboro swim bait. This is a natural light color on an Owner 8/0 flashy swimmer. This is what caught most of my meat. All the bigger fish really like this. I needed something that looked a lot natural, looked like a thread fin. There's a thread fin in this lake, so this is what I chose. Ironically, this Owner 8/0 hook right here is the one that I started with, and I never changed the hook. The only thing I lost, they bit it so good that they tore the blade off of it. The Scottsboro tackle swim bait, the first day was the bait. It caught everything. I mean, and then it's almost like they kind of got used to it. And I picked this up just to kind of change it up, and then this one started carrying, this one would catch 2 or 3 a day, and then that one would catch 3 or 4 a day. That one seemed to get the bigger bites, but it still trailed with a Scottsboro tackle. Same swim bait, it's just a little bit smaller. It's a 4-inch.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I think the size of the bait was getting more bites, but that was getting the quality bites.
And then what about on the business end here, rod reel line? Because you need kind of a heavy setup to get them up out of this stuff.
This is the new all-purpose series rod from Fitzgerald, which I like because it's got the cork candles. This is a 7.3 extra heavy, and this is a 7.3 heavy. Same rod, same everything. We're using a 6.3-to-1 Daiwa SV reel on this one with 65-pound J braid, and I used a 7-to-1 on the swim jig,
sure.
because even though it's a 1/2 ounce and that's a 3/8, it's still, the profile of it makes it swim a little deeper, so I sped it up a little bit with a 7-to-1. But both of them are running 65-pound J braid and Daiwa SV reels and the new all-purpose rods from Fitzgerald.
Crank the drag tight, send it out there and start.
Oh, it's tight. No give. These mats are dead mats. These are still green, growing, fresh mats, and they're very thick. So if I had, and I tell you, I did lose one fish during the tournament, and they were biting right at the face of these mats. So when I'd set the hook, they'd immediately be in a mat, which is 2 good things. I mean, they didn't fight a whole lot, so they were wrapped up in grass, so I got them in pretty easy. Second thing is, though, if they buried up deep and it was a big one, because I had one big bite here. I mean, it was a real good bite, and it buried up in the mat. Instead of going to get it and mess it up, I kept horsing, trying to get it out, and I straightened the hook on the swim jig.
Dang.
But it was gonna be a good one, and I should have done it a little different, but I didn't. So.
It didn't matter anyway. But speaking of big bite, in Florida, when you have like a 20+ pound bag, you usually have like a 8-pounder or something. There's like you got a kicker in there.
Right.
You this week did it with just consistent goods. I mean, they were like 4 and 5 pounders. That was like what you were catching.
Right.
Which is wild to me. Did you not think throughout the event, like, oh, I'm about to catch me a 9-pounder. Today's the day kind of thing?
I thought it every day.
I got 5 anyway.
I tell you, the bait that I found all these fish, I never threw a swim bait in practice. This is how I found every fish that I fished for on the lake. And they still bit it here, but they were just bumping it. They weren't really eating it.
Huh.
So these heads, these clump heads, every one of them have tons of brim in them. The days that we practiced, that we had calm days, you'd throw it one of these clumps and brim they looked like he's frog fishing. They just blew everywhere. So that was the bait I found a concentrated amount of fish in, and then I just went after it after that.
I think for anyone that watched FLW Live,
I think that's a big one.
People learn pretty quick that when it goes down here, it goes down quick. And we saw that when we pulled up here, 2 bites, bang, bang. And now we're kind of, I guess, waiting it out for it to get better. And that's just how it went down all week for you.
That's how it is. I mean, you get 1 or 2 bites, but they're quality. And then you got to wait a while. I mean, and then, the days that I had a lot of traffic around me, if I had boats around me, I'd sit still. But if it was days like today when you don't see a boat in sight, I'd get far enough out just fishing that I could get back if somebody tried to come in on it, and that's how I let it rest. And I just did it every day. If I had a flurry and you can just tell that it's just died off, I'd get back. But I try to stay close enough to see when they start feeding again, because they're not schooling. I wouldn't call it schooling, but you'll see a bull or you'll see one bust, and it'll happen in this little bitty circle. So when I started seeing that again, I knew it was time to go back, and I just kind of worked my way back. And usually when I'd see that action, I'd come back, first cast I get bit, or second cast I get bit.
Oh, baby. Substantially smaller than
Well, we're throwing a little bit smaller bait right now, but I just did this, it gets bit, and they're keepers, it's just one of them deals.
Now you talked also about pre-spawn, post-spawn fish. Like that guy's either been feeding up a lot.
I think it's pre.
But that's kind of what I was thinking.
Everything I had yesterday except for one was pre-spawn. Throw over.
Oh gosh, of course.
That there's showing out. I had never seen one. Golly, there's more than one. Oh, you gotta let them have it.
I know, I'm too jittery.
It's an awesome bite though.
Oh my gosh. Now that one definitely didn't feel as good as the that first bite I got. I blew that. That's cool. That's my bad.
Leave it out. Don't even skin hook. Leave it all the way out.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it.
It wasn't big ones.
They're acting up more today than they have all week.
They like this day 5. Should have kept this derby rolling.
That's what I'm thinking. No, I like it just like it is.
No,
I'll
it's
take it all
fine.
back. You know, I think because you can see we got all kinds of little alleyways through these clumps. I think these fish are just using these alleys and they're just kind of herding the bait fish up into this hole that we're catching them in. I think they come and go. I think that's why we're not catching them the whole time. I think they show up, we catch a few, and it spooks them off, and then they round some more bait up and come back. That's why whenever I was trying to let it rest, I never threw in it. I wanted them to gang back up in that hole or in that spot because I couldn't get them to gang up nowhere else, and you didn't even catch any random fish. So it was like they all huddled up in that spot when they showed up. Unless they're just sitting there looking up at me like he's crazy, I don't, it's. They're definitely using the area to stage for the spawn. There's no doubt in my mind this is a staging area. Now they may have 2 more stages before they get to where they're going, but This is an area that they're setting up on. You just got all this lake. It's got grass. I mean, there's grass almost from here to the other side.
It is like a carpet basically across the whole basin.
So when you got all carpet, when you find the irregularity in it, that's where they tend to set up, and that's just what this was. It was just the perfect place for them.
All right, buddy, I'm giving up on fishing, but it's kind of cool because right now we are sitting in the middle of the spot. Well, kind of. Basically, the motor is on the
back end of it.
Back end. That clump right there is the other end, and this is it. This little tiny thing got you $100,000. Your second tour win of your career, man. Heck of a week, dude. Heck of a week.
I appreciate it. It's been an awesome week, and just blessed to be here, and can't wait to come back now.
And to have your family there, you had friends come in. I know your phone's been blowing up all day. The other cool thing, to me especially, is when guys get a win outside of kind of what their zone is. You being a Tennessee River guy, you won on Pickwick. I think a lot of people were kind of like, yeah, I get it. But this one here, I think, really kind of takes it to the next level and shows that Buddy Gross is going to keep doing his thing for quite some time, man.
I hope so. Just give me coattails.
Well, with that, you got a long drive home. Yeah. I think it's time to put the rods up, maybe make one more cast on the way back.
I think we'll make one more stop and just to make sure we can't catch one.
Well, I appreciate it. Once again, dude, congrats.
Yes, sir.
Safe travels home. We'll see you in a couple weeks at Seminole.
Thank you, guys.